In this video we're going to review and build the all-new KV-1 by Tamiya. Coming up on Throttle Power. Looks like the top of the turret. Got a commander, part of the gun. The fenders. And these two trees appear to be identical. They're the road wheels. Looks like some boxes. And the clear parts. Looks like some rope for some cable. Poly caps. And the Link tracks. These are really nice. And they have built-in sag. And of course here's the hull. It builds up. Looks like it's going to be a really nice build. And comes with a little thing to make a miniature KV-1. They said that they used to pass these out for the guys to show what certain tanks were. They were little wooden models. Decals, just a couple. And the instructions. Looks like they're pretty straightforward, pretty simple, typical Tamiya. Should go together very well. Alright, let's get to building this thing. And just like that, in a few easy steps, we've got the lower hull all finished. One thing I want to point out is on the sides of the hull, they're asking you to drill out a couple holes and shave off or cut off a couple little tabs that stick out. There's the two little holes I drilled, and there's a tab I took off. Right there. Other than that, a couple minutes and this lower hull's done. I want to show you on the upper hull here about drilling out some holes. They've got you drilling out a few more holes, but you're not going blind at it. They've got some indentions where you're supposed to drill the holes out, and it's really simple. There's one, there's another little indention. And something else I wanted to show you on step 2 is this A11, these pieces. Those pieces are if you're going to have your hatches open and close. I'm not going to show an interior or have the commander or anyone else in it, so I'll be bypassing those. So after you get your 2, 4, 6 holes drilled and put this piece on, you're done with step 2. And then on to step 3, and all step 3 is putting your hatch on and putting her onto the hull, and then we'll be on to step 4 just like that. Okay, with step 3 finished up, step 4 finished up, just a couple little holes to drill out to put that piece on. Step 5 went really easy. Cutting these all out. That took the longest out of all this. It's cutting these 6 ×2 of D1s out and getting them sanded and getting them put in place. Sanding them took the longest. Have a little nipple on each side. Got the screens put on. And step number 6, found out why we had to drill 4 holes on the top. It was for these 2 pieces right here, right there, and that screen is right there. So we're ready for step number 7, and this didn't take long at all. Okay, in just one evening we got all the way through step 10. We got all the road wheels cut, put together, sanded. We got her done. Lower hull is finished. Onto the tracks. This thing went together like a dream. Typical Tamiya kit. No issues, no problems. I want to give you a little update on something I failed to mention earlier when I was showing you all the trees with the parts. The barrel is slide molded. And what slide molded means is it's all one piece. It's open on the end. Little tip on building tracks: when you're getting them all glued together, push them up against some sort of straight edge so they stay straight instead of all whopper junky, so when you go to put them on, everything will be fine. Also, what I do is I take a little bit of the Tamiya glue and glue it on, and I will let this sit for about 5 minutes. Put the tank on, and they will bend right up really nice. And then I can glue the 2 points on, and that's an easy way to do the tracks. Okay, we're 2 evenings into the tank, and we got the tracks done. One evening for the tracks, and the first evening was for the hull. And I'm going to start on the turret now and hope to get that finished up. So we may be able to get this thing finished in 3 evenings. Okay, evening 3 is behind us. The only thing I have left to do is put the cables and hooks on the front end. Turned out pretty good. Easy build. I recommend this kit for anyone. And again, what I liked best was the gun barrels all one piece, and it's already hollow inside, so you don't have to drill it out. Great kit. Highly recommend it. Let's get on to painting and weathering. XF69 NATO Black. I'm going to do a black and white technique on this tank. And first thing I'll do is cover the whole entire tank with the NATO Black. We don't need much, so we're just going to be doing the tops. And the purpose of this white is it will act as a faded look after I put the green paint on. Now, one thing I am going to do, I'm going to do this until the white paint starts coming out. Looks good. We'll make that panel there really white. Give it a little bit of a different effect after we get our green paint on. In other words, I'm kind of alternating the depth of my whites. Okay, we got some paint mixed up for our tank for the old KV-1, and we used XF4 and we used some XF58. We got it mixed up to a color we like. Starting on the very bottom to see if that's what I like. That's what I like. And already had some color. A little neat tip when you're painting something like this and you don't want to get anything on these tracks, take a piece of cardstock, slide it in there. Now I can get in there. Don't have to worry about getting anything on the tracks. Let me just move that cardstock down. And we can do the same with the other side. Another neat little tip I like to do when I'm getting the road wheels is I like to tilt it up on a paint bottle or something, and that way I don't have to hold the tank. I can get right in there. And get everything just like that. Alright, there's coat number 1. It's getting there. Let's go for coat number 2. Wanted to share a little quick tip on painting steel cables on a model. A lot of your Tamiya tanks come with this thread and they want you to make cables out of it, and a lot of guys don't like the thread. What I've always had good luck doing is I cut my thread to length, get it put on, and then when I paint my model, the thread kind of stiffens up, makes it a little bit more like cable. But the biggest thing that I wanted to share was how I get my cable look. I use 50% jet exhaust burnt iron and 50% steel. And between these two colors, mix it up, and then I'm able to paint it on, and it gives a steel effect. Little update on the tank. We have gotten the cables painted, the guns painted, and we're working on the pieces that would be rusting, such as the hooks and obviously the exhaust. And what we've been using so far for the rust, we start off with the left one, the dark rust, and then after that dries, we dab on some medium rust in various spots. Then after that dries, the one on your right there, we use the light rust and dab that on a few spots. Then after all that dries, I take the one on the left, the dark, and I will dab on some more dark. I haven't done that yet. I went around with some dark panel liner, the black, did the grills, and then went around the tank on all the panels and the joint lines with the brown panel liner. And I'm doing a filter effect. I'm not sure exactly what the color is. The color is worn off. It's a tan color, real light tan. And I'm going to show you how to do filters sometime on a video. That's a really neat effect. There's all kinds of different colors on filters. And the freak of dust effect is almost like a filter also. It's a real light tan as well. And start getting some real slight effects there. This is just the start of the weathering. I've also started doing a little bit of chipping. I'm taking the Tamiya XF9 Hall Red and using a sponge effect to do the chipping. I'll dip the sponge in the Hall Red, dab probably 90% of the paint off, and then just touch it with a sponge on some areas and working on a little bit of a chipping. Little update on the tank. We've been mixing these three pigments, the natural sienna, light sienna, and the dark earth, into this little cup, getting it mixed up and putting it on the top, just getting the top weathered a little bit, working on some of the rust. It's still got a long ways to go, and we're going to start on the tracks now. We'll start off with a pigment of track rust, and what we'll do with that is get a little pigment and just go in here and start rubbing it on. We're going to get this rubbed on, and then we'll go with some track washes and other pigments, and I'll give you an update on that when we get there. I've been mixing the loose ground and this real light colored pigment just to lighten this loose ground color up, mixing it all up and putting it all in here and getting it in between the road wheels. And when I do that, it gets on the rollers, and in order to clean the rollers off, I just take a clean toothpick or clean Q-tip and roll the rollers, and that gets the rollers cleaned off. Just a little tip on cleaning rollers as you're weathering. And there it is, all finished. The Tamiya KV-1. It was a great build. Really enjoyed it. Had fun weathering it. You can weather this thing almost any way you want. Mine's weathered to where it's been sitting for just a little while. So we got a little bit of rust down on the bottom of the tracks and stuff. Got some nice still pictures coming up. You can see some really neat close-ups on the stills.